This week we talked about force. Now, somebody raise your hand and tell me, what is force? Exactly. Force is just nothing but strength. It's the ability to move something. So to move this board from where it's at to another location, I'm going to have to actually apply force. So to move this, I'm applying force and moving it from one place to another. Now, as we grew up in science and as we continued to build on things you knew before, we now apply a formula to it. Force equals what? Think about what we've talked about. Think about the way that we can calculate force and actually apply it. Exactly. Force equals mass times the acceleration. F equals ma. Now, we measure force in newtons, and we're going to talk about how things directly vary, or how things vary directly with each other. Well, the force varies directly with the two things that are being multiplied. It varies directly with the mass and the acceleration, which means if I increase the mass of something, I'm going to apply more force, which means if I'm applying more force, I'm actually making it move farther. I'm making it move faster. So we're going to do a lab today that's going to apply that. But just to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, think of where you would use this. Let's say you're watching a construction crew and they're demolishing a building. Do you think they can use a little steel ball and knock down a huge brick building? No, you never see that. They always use big, massive steel balls that are going to smash through it. It's going to apply more force just because it is larger. Now, to demonstrate this in another way, I've got 3 different size hammers here. And of course, when you look at these 3 different sizes, if you've ever dealt with hammers before, you realize that they are different masses. They do way different. So, I want you to think right now, as you can tell, I've also got 3 nails here in this board. None of the nails are already through. No magic tricks here. Look, see? And what I want you to apply here is, I want you to predict right now, on your piece of paper, I want you to predict what's going to happen with these 3 hammers when I apply force to these 3 nails. Now, I'm not going to try to force one down farther than the other to prove a point. I'm going to hold it up and let it fall down. And I'm going to let it apply its own force just using gravity. So take a moment right now on your own paper and predict what you think is going to happen using each one of these 3 hammers toward each one of these nails. Now I want you to turn to your shoulder partners and talk about what your predictions. Tell me what you came up with. So take 30 seconds, talk to your shoulder partners and come up, what did you predict? What do you think is going to happen, and what did they think going to happen? Well, let's talk about this. So you think that what's going to happen is, as I let the smaller hammer go, it's going to apply less force just because it weighs less than the other 2 and not drive the nails far. And the heavier hammer, you think when I let it fall, because the mass is larger, it's going to drive the nail farther. Well, let's test it. Let's test the hypothesis you just came up with. All right, let me make sure I get enough room. I'm not going to hammer my nails into my workstation here. Let's start with the smaller hammer. Now again, all I'm going to do is measure it, pick it up, and let it go. I missed. Let's try again. 3rd time's the charm. That's as far as it went. Again, not moving real far. Let's try the middle one. Well, that one went a little bit farther. Now, let's take the big one, and let's try the one with the largest mass and see what happens. Again, pick it up, let it fall. Did your predictions match what happened? If you said that the smallest one was going to leave or not drive the nail as far as the middle one or as the bigger one, then you were right. Your hypothesis was correct. We can talk about the conclusions from there. What you're going to do now, or you're going to take 2 different objects that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a golf ball and I'm going to give you a softball. And we're going to roll them down a ramp. Now we're going to take a board that's just like this. There we go. And we're going to prop it up. And you're going to place the softball and the golf ball on 3 different points on this ramp and let it slide into an object and see how far it moves it. I'll let you think in your head right now. Don't say it out loud, but think in your head what's going to happen. Which is going to move the cup farther? The golf ball or the softball? Another question for you is, what's also going to help it? Will the height of the ramp affect it? Will the distance that it travels affects it? Will how fast the ball travels affects it? All of these things are things you can consider and things you need to take into consideration. Now, before I let you loose, again, I'm going to split you up into groups, let you get your materials. I've got them all over here on the side. Collect the materials, work in your groups. I got this roles assigned, and I'll pass out the worksheets in just a minute. All right, let's break up into groups.